Hello and welcome back to the Movie Clubhouse Podcast. Today we're breaking new ground with a brand new episode. Today we are reviewing nothing else than Netflix animated comedy Leo. Yes, the new animated special movie featuring Adam Sandler, Bill Burr, and a lot of other people. As we said, today we're breaking new ground with this upcoming review. Without further ado, let's get straight into the review. As we just said, we have just watched the new animated comedy Netflix's Leo, simply titled Leo. We just said Netflix has Leo, so you know where to watch it, if you want to watch it. But the title is Leo. This is a new animated movie from Netflix that has just released this past Tuesday. And we can say that we have a lot of different opinions on this movie. It has grown on us a bit since last watching it a couple of days ago. It has this really nice and beautiful message to it, that you should talk about your problems, you just should not be afraid to open up and talk to friends, etc. And that small help can help a lot. And also that you should be just yourself. That always works in the long run. It has this really nice message and theme sprinkled throughout the movie. But there is some parts of the film that just doesn't work that great. For example, the animation is okay, but in a world where we get movies across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse and other animated movies from Netflix such as Nimona, if you have seen that feature film, released this past summer, when we live in a world with movies like that, an animation that is just okay just doesn't cut it. The movie is okay, the animation is okay, but it's nothing outstanding. But that is pretty much still okay, because this movie, I think, is more aimed towards a younger audience that doesn't have that high standards when it comes to animation. So for a younger audience, I think this movie will still work pretty well. It has this nice message. The animation is fun. There's a lot of fun jokes in this film. There are also a lot of side characters. For example, there is this drone that cares for one of the kids in this movie. We can also say that the story of this film is basically there is this chameleon or lizard that can talk. He has a friend that is a turtle, and they live in a classroom with a lot of middle school graders, or how do you say middle graders? They live in a school, in a classroom. And then these lizards start to talk to one of these kids when they get to take him over the weekend. And then they become friends with this lizard, but then they notice him that he talks to every kid and say that every kid is special, and so on. They get a little bit sad, etc. But this lizard basically gives a lot of good advice to these children that helps them in their life at home and at school and helps them grow, basically. So the plot is really nice. It's nothing wrong with that. And I think the younger audience would appreciate it a lot. But for me, that is a little bit tad older, if you would say it like that, having an animation that is just okay doesn't cut it really. And there is another big problem with the movie. There is a lot of singing in the whole film. And it doesn't work as great as some Disney musicals do. The singing is mostly irritating. There is some songs that are pretty okay, that have some nice beats to them. But the singing overall, when looking at the story, just doesn't work. As we said, there are okay songs, but the singing feels a little bit cringe. And the best part of this movie is probably Adam Sandler and his voice work. He does a great job as the Leo character. And his voice is really unique. And it has a lot of warmth to it, which makes him a fun character and a sort of parenting character to these other side characters that are these children, if you would say it like that. So Adam Sandler is probably the best part of this movie. He's the big name that is attached to it. I also said that Bill Burr stars in this film. He's the other big name. I think he stars as the turtle. And then there are some other semi-famous names connected to the film. Another name that's attached to the movie is, for example, Cecily Strong, Rob Schneider, Joe Coy, Sadie Sander, Alison Strong, Jason Alexander, and, as we said, Bill Burr. So there are some semi-big names attached to the movie, but the biggest of them is Adam Sandler, and I think he does a great job as Leo. But there is some of these side characters, I can't say side characters, but some of these antagonists, or characters that doesn't get that much spotlight shine towards them, does still a great job. We think that most of the children is doing a great voice work as well. They really give a lot of realism to their characters and really puts their problems that they have and that Leo helps them with, they really take these problems and makes them a big integral part of their character. And it makes it feel a lot of, I can't say realistic, but it makes the movie feel a tad more realistic. And as we said, there is a great message tied to this movie that you should talk about your problems. You should not be afraid to open up and talk to your friends, your parents, and etc. That helping someone just a tiny tad bit, or giving just a small helping hand can do a lot and be life-changing. And as we said, Bill Burr stars as this turtle in the movie that is probably the character that gets to shine the second most from Adam Sandler's Leo. And his name is Squirrel. He's a turtle, a tiny bit younger than Leo, I would say, in the movie universe. And he is more of a side character, as you would call it. But he still has some great voice acting to him. And he moves the story in an interesting way. That is all we gotta say about that. He is nice to have there, but he doesn't change the movie dramatically. He's just a nice addition to the film. The movie is directed by Robert Marianetti, Robert Smigel, and David Wachtenheim. There are also some cool art direction to this movie, especially in the end credits and some musical numbers, when there is a lot of hand-drawn, or maybe not hand-drawn, but hand-drawn style animation to it, or like paper clip animation. That looks really good, and it kind of bit distracts you from the not-so-good singing numbers. Or the songs are okay, but it distracts you from the overall impact that they are seeing in the movie, and that this isn't a Disney film. So this art direction is pretty good at times, at least. The animation is also, as we said, it's not groundbreaking, but it is still funny at times. For example, this character, as we said, Leo, has this really cool pose that he does when he gets afraid. And he has some cool things that he does when he, for example, meets a female lizard and he wants to make himself look good. He has this really cool posture or animation that he does. So there is some fun animation to the movie. Or as, for example, this drone that protects one of the kids also has a lot of energy to it, and basically it's a real life character to its own, even though it's a drone. So he does some other cool animation and some other cool moves. Ultimately, I would say this movie tries very hard to be a Disney-style film, but in the end, the singing is the biggest downside to it all. I actually dreamt about this movie the night after watching. I dreamt about lizards and chameleons and all of that stuff. So I would say this movie has grown on me a little bit because it has this nice message to it and this nice theme. But the singing almost made me quit watching it when it started at the beginning of the film, because I was not prepared to that they would sing this much as they do. There are also some fun character dynamics to the film, or to the characters. They have great chemistry, and to see some of the children really grow spiritually when they get help from Leo, and having the kids interact with Leo and have some meaningful conversations. It's a really interesting time watching this movie, basically. So I would say this movie has a great message. It has some great voice work, but I did not really like the singing. So in a world where Spider-Verse animation style exists, this movie is not revolutionary. And nowadays, you really need to be high-end with your animation if it's gonna be getting some awards, basically. It does not always have to be some groundbreaking animation. As long as the story is great and there is some great message to the film, as this had, it is watchable, and some audience may like it. But for animation, if you're older and want to watch animation, it oftentimes have to be something extraordinary if you're going to enjoy it a tad bit more. But I at least think young people will still like this movie, and it has this great message and theme. So I think you should watch this with your kids. Watch this with your younger children, maybe years 5 to 10, 5 to 12. I think they will still enjoy this funny voice work from Adam Sandler, and then basically enjoy this movie. When it comes to a sequel for the film, I do not think it's really needed. It doesn't set up a sequel in any way. And I think this movie is pretty compact and complete on its own. So I really don't think a sequel is needed. So this movie has grown on me a bit. I think you should watch it with your younger audience or younger kids. But I really did not like the singing. It maybe has something to do with this not being a Disney film, and I only associate singing with Disney movies. But I will leave it at that. So there you have it. That was my review, my short and compact, complete review of Netflix's Leo from 2023. This movie is now playing on Netflix, so you are up and free to go and watch it right now. This has been the Movie Clubhouse Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie. Remember to subscribe to this podcast if you don't want to miss any of our newer episodes. We're dropping new episodes weekly at this point. And also, if you feel like it, you can of course leave a review and say something nice about the podcast if you enjoyed it. It helps us a lot. So that was all for today. This has been the Movie Clubhouse Podcast. Until we see you guys the next time, have a great time watching.